Hello, everybody. It's Laura from Healthy Carnivore. Coming on here tonight, I want to discuss some of the recent trends that are going on in carnivore. So, a little background, I'm a nurse. I'm an RN. I've been a nurse for it's a long time, over 22 years. I have been carnivore for 5.5, and I did keto for 28 before that. Um, so the ketogenic type lifestyle has definitely healed all of the conditions that I had, and continues to, allow me to do what I want to do, run as much as I want, play as much as I want, and do those things. So I stay with those. My diet, the way I eat. So I'm going to go ahead and get started for tonight. So like I said, these are kind of like the trends that you see going on with carnivore right now. So one of them is where instead of, back when you had to make all the side dishes, you really need to just worry about, mostly meat. And so nose to tail is always good to take into consideration. With that, that is eating, including some of the organ meat if you can tolerate it. I don't think you should eat organ meat every single day, especially liver. I don't think, as we look at ancestral, that I don't think our ancestors were having kills every single day and eating organ meat every single day. I think it was probably a couple times a week, even on good hunts. That's the way it would go. So I don't promote eating that every single day. If you cannot stomach, those types of things, they do have capsules. I knew I was going to forget the name of it. I did do some grass-fed liver capsules. Something ancestral was the name of it, but I don't remember it right offhand. Sorry. But anyway, that is something that you could take a couple times a week. I think Dr. Kiltz also has like a supplement as well that is like a liver supplement. So that is something that you could do. The main reason that I warn people about doing too much liver is because you can get vitamin A toxicity. And one of the first symptoms that I had when I was doing that, because I was taking the capsule every single day, plus eating egg yolks and things like that, is my hair falling out in full on clumps, full handfuls. Just I'd brush and the whole thing would just come out. Um, and I was like, oh, that's vitamin A toxicity, sure enough. And I didn't go have it tested. I just stopped doing that. I didn't take any of that in for a long time, and then slowly integrated some liver in so many of the packages of beef or deer that I grind up. So I do that. Um, Zero carb creativity. So a lot of followers are experimenting with carnivore friendly alternatives to classic foods. I think if you guys watch that Chris Cooks Nashville, he has some amazing things that he does. You can do dishes where it's like carnivore pasta. It's made from eggs, cream cheese, and pork rinds, or chicken liver pancakes. That one I don't know about. That one doesn't sound very good to me, but maybe it could be edible. I don't know. I just never liked chicken liver, but if you love chicken liver, maybe that would be a great one. So, some people do need to have variety. They have to have either multiple types of meat or multiple options out there, adding in lots of eggs, lots of stuff like that. I'm pretty plain. Like I can do the same meal over and over and over again. Um, so let's see. Dairy, if you can tolerate dairy, you can do a lot of things like the pizza that I did, which was chicken thighs and wings and legs. It was all dark meat, and I put it in food processor and then put cheese with that, mozzarella cheese, and then put that on a pizza sheet and cooked it for like 15 minutes at like 350, and then put the rest of the ingredients on it and made that. So you could do that. You can do nachos if you like pork rinds very easily. Just put the same toppings you would, but just put them on top of the pork rinds. So those are things that you could actually do while keeping your carbs very low. Okay. May not be perfect, may not be like 0, but it'd be very close, and it's still gonna be way better than what you were doing before. Hi, Traveling Pack. Hello. Um, so mental health and cognitive benefits. That is probably one of the things I hear the most working with my clients and just people in the community that I've been in for so long, that people, when they go on ketovore or carnivore, really report that their mood stabilizes. Anxiety, depression, even some PTSD, some OCD. My OCD definitely did decrease. It's not near as crazy, like shampooing carpets at 2 in the morning. I don't do that anymore. I sleep. Um, I think most of the reason that this happens, where you get rid of that brain fog and like the brain just turns on, I believe is because of that really high fat content that we're taking in that really supports brain health. So for me, I feel like that is something that I really focus on with my clients, is how much fat are you really eating, and what are you wanting out of this? What is your goal? What's your end game there? So I do that. um, Metabolic inflammatory health, big deal. Hi, Grace. um, but and this is something that's really close to my heart. I have a mother who has the most horrible inflammatory disease that I've seen up close. Very bad degenerative joint disease, osteoarthritis, 100% from food and alcohol. And she's not a big drinker, but she will have, I think she calls it a sniff or I don't know, just a teeny little bit on ice. Um, it's like Chivas Regal Scotch, I think, but she'll do that probably 4 or 5 days a week, little shot of it, and that's it. But very destructive, very hard, pulls phosphorus and copper and manganese and all of those things from the joints and bones. But this diet really does decrease your inflammatory. So that is something that you can go out there and type that into YouTube on inflammatory issues resolved with the carnivore, ketovore diet. And you will see people whose CRPs and ESRs, which are two lab that you can have done, blood tests that will show like inflammatory markers of how much inflammation you have. And you have people that will go from thousands down to like 10 or 3. Like my mom has been as high as 5,000, and I got her down one time to 9. Um, but she says that at her age, she's not willing to give up the junk, the processed foods, the alcohol, the junky fruit that we have in our environment. She doesn't have organic, non-genetically modified things. So unfortunately, that's where we're at with that. Um, so one of the things too with this type of eating is it can improve your insulin sensitivity. So what that basically means is when you do have glucose in the bloodstream, you have to have insulin unlock the cell so that that can get in. And when you are on a high carb diet, high sugar diet, high starch diet for long periods of time, that cell becomes like, hey, I don't care that insulin's trying to open up the cell. I don't want it. I'm bogged down with enough glucose. I don't need any more. And it will become insensitive. So it doesn't work as well. So this diet does wash away a lot of that. It takes some time, but then the insulin sensitivity will come back. I have seen it firsthand with a couple of my patients and several clients. We're doing this way of eating. And like I said, one's keto and one's ketovore, that has completely reversed type 2 diabetes that they had for over 25 years. Insulin dependent, metformin, glipizide, all the Jardians, I think one was on Januvia, just oral medication. So, hey, Karen. Yeah, 5:30 Central Standard Time. I'm not sure what time frame where you're at, but 5:30 Central Standard Time for my things. The other thing is that when you can get the inflammation down inside the body, you will help your autoimmune disorders. So that is another thing. I've seen people with lupus, IBS, rosacea, your dermatitis, all of those things, um, rheumatoid and rheumatism, all of that. I've seen those improve. Um, of course, as with everything, there are no long-term studies. We do have some short-term studies, um, but that we really have a problem right now, and maybe some of this will change with having, somebody, heading up and being the policeman over the FDA and things like that. Maybe that will change. But right now, you really have to kind of be your own detective when it comes to, somebody saying, oh, well, you don't have a study for that, or you don't have a long study for that. Well, there's lots of things out on the market right now that didn't have any human studies at all before it was put out to market. I can name probably 50. So there are several out there for that. So that to me doesn't really mean a whole lot. I like to believe in trying N equals one experiment where you try something yourself and then you decide, did that make me feel better? Did that not make me feel better? I mean, it's all really comes down to common sense. It's just working within your scope, write down what you're eating, write down what you change, and trying not to do too many things at a time. It's funny that when we think about feeding our babies and integrating them to foods, we don't start them with like, ground up burger, mashed potatoes, and green beans. We do one food at a time. And the whole reason we do that is to see if they have sensitivities, allergies, or dislikes to those things. Well, we're just larger babies, really. And some people, I won't say male or female, tend to be bigger babies sometimes. So, let's see. Central to but your tag said 429 on the 17th. Oh, wow. That's weird. Oh, that's when I went out and put it online was yesterday that I was coming on this date for up above. It should have said that. But yes, I did see that it captured the time that I put this out there that I was going to do today's thing. So I see how you got that. That makes sense. I'm glad you're here though. Yes, Grace, you're welcome. I plan on doing these solo Mondays from here on out. If I decide to do a collab with somebody, I may do that. I may further in to this next year. I may do kind of like what Russ does, where I put the link in the comments so that if somebody wants to come on and just tell their story. A lot of people don't want to do a channel and go all into it, but it's nice for people to hear real people other than just myself. Yes, I've been, 313 pounds. Um, I had, all of the ills. I was borderline diabetic. I had that, but I'm on the other side of that for quite a long time. Although, and not to brag, but I literally lost 5 pounds last week. And I don't know how that could even be possible. Like, if, the old mindset is eating fat makes you fat, that cannot be. I am not kidding you. I went through 5 pounds of fat last week in 7 days, and I ate it all, every bit of it. I mean, I rendered some of it down, I mean, I cook it and then I keep some of that liquid fat, to make my products. Um, but I ate that much fat and I lost 5 pounds. It's the craziest thing. I don't know. I don't know how that worked, but it worked. I sleep amazing, which I love. I love my sleep. I don't require a lot of sleep. I am one of those lucky people that if I got 5 hours, 4 hours, even 4 or 5 straight sleep, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. And I really have been that way. I was always a great sleeper. And then the first year of carnivore, um, I was a pretty good sleeper, but I noticed waking up a little more at night, which I wasn't sure if that was going through menopause, what the issue was, because it was getting up, going to the bathroom, but that could have been getting rid of the vegetable carbohydrates too. It's possible, who knows? So another trend is social and practical adaptations that we have to kind of know about and how to go through. So they call this is something that they say out there, is that given the diet's limitations in social settings, carnivore dieters are encouraged to plan meals ahead and events and gatherings to stay on track. So I don't consider this way of eating limiting because I guess I see food as fuel. I don't see it as I need this pretty color, this pretty flavor, this, I don't need that variety. Um, and what I have found is when you have tons of variety, I think that some people will kind of sway off of that. So I just for myself don't need it, but I don't feel like it's limiting. The only thing that's limiting for me being a carnivore, going out in social gatherings, it's not bad with my family, my friends. They know how I eat. I usually bring something anyway that is 100% carnivore that I don't have to worry about. Although at work, when they do birthday parties, they're always like, "We brought 2 sticks of butter and 2 hard-boiled eggs for you," or hamburger or whatever it is. So, I mean, they're always very conscientious, and I appreciate that. Um, but I find that it's asking the server to make sure that the cooks don't get seed oil and do those kinds of things to the meat, and just cook it in butter. I mean, I've taken my own butter before. Um, I didn't take it to the Brazilian steakhouse when we were in, Louisville, Kentucky, but I knew ahead of time, so I took a Zyrtec. It's the only time I've taken Zyrtec for a long time, and I took it all 3 days and did fairly well. A couple times I had the roof of my mouth itch, which is my signal when I've gotten into seed oils, so I can tell. So when they're lying and maltodextrin. So not to say anything against LMNT, but I knew probably 2 years ago, a year ago at least, that I could not do anything but their raw. I had gotten one of those 8 sample pack that you can get when somebody's like deals their stuff basically for them, and I tried one, and I didn't like it that they put sweet flavors and hot. This one was like habanero something, and it was weird. I was like, "I don't like that mixed together." But I had the itchy mouth and I was like, "Well, that's weird. The maltodextrin's not listed. Seed oils aren't listed." But I also know that with the food industry and supplement industry, if it's below a certain amount, they don't have to list it. And as we're finding out, that's kind of what happened. They knew that it had some in there, but they had the amounts wrong. I think I watched a video with Rob, um, the other day, and he was saying they thought it was a much smaller dose than what it was. And he did not, he wasn't transparent. Hey, Charlie. He wasn't transparent about what was in there. So I feel bad. But and I'm not a promoter of any of those, any of the electrolyte powder mixes, any of that. Um, but for myself, if I do element, I have always done the plain, the raw. And then I've been using the salty. So when I was at Louisville, Kentucky, I got a 30 pack of their stuff and it seems to be fine. I don't have any reactions at all to it. So I'm pretty happy with that. Um, so I'm going to continue with those. I make my own as well. I make Soleil water, which seems to do just fine. It's just once in a while when you've had nothing but plain water for like 5.5 years, it's like maybe just a little flavor wouldn't kill me at all. So I do use that. Grace says, I'm planning on starting Lugol's iodine 5%, 2 drops. Does that sound right to you? Grace, have you taken any Lugol's before? Because personally myself, I tried the 5% to begin with and found it was a little too much for me. So I kept the bottle, ordered some 2%, and I did 2 drops a day and worked my way up until I was to, I think, 10 drops, finished out that bottle just the other day, and I'm going back to the 5%, and I'm gonna do 2 to 3 because I transitioned myself up. I don't think you should ever start at a really, really high dose. I think it's something that you should start very low and work your way up, and see, better energy. Some people report, like, less hair loss, like they're not having those effects, better recovery from, like, sports. which being, carnivore, you're going to have some of that anyway. I really rarely get sore. We did like a 7 or 8 mile walk on Sunday, and it was just hills like this, up and down, all over the place, kind of getting ready for deer season. And my husband was like, "Oh, I'm going to be sore tomorrow," and I was like, "Yeah, I might too." And I am not at all. You couldn't even tell me that I did it. I was able to get on. I did my burpees, I did my sprints, I did my planks, and all that. And it was, yeah, I have no soreness at all. Um, So anyway, but I also do the iodine. So hopefully that, yeah, if you haven't, yeah, okay. So Grace says she has not taken iodine before except topically. So if you're going to start with 5 and you don't have the 2%, I would just start with 1 drop, and I would probably do that for at least a week and then kind of bump yourself up. Um, if you plan on holding off and getting the 2%, completely up to you. Just start slow and kind of work your way up. Um, but I think, you just got to pay attention to your body and kind of see how you feel. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you here. I do appreciate you guys coming on. Let's see. So, if you're going out to events, we've said it lots and lots. You're welcome, Grace. About planning and prepping. And there are going to be times where you get caught flat footed, where you go someplace and you thought they were going to have some options. Um, things change like that. There's options. So most men don't carry purses, but you can always have a bag of bacon you have already cooked up. You can have some jerky with you. um, Salt underneath the tongue sometimes will kind of satiate me to where I'm like, I'm not really even hungry, apparently, because if that stops that hunger signal, I wasn't really hungry. I just thought I was. And fasting, you can always fast. Um, and then when you get home from wherever you're at, you can always do that. But yeah, you can plan ahead. You can have pork rinds with you. I used to carry a bag of pork rinds when they did affect me, but not too bad. But I have this bad habit of, if I buy a bag this big of pork rinds on Wednesday, it is not there by Thursday night. It's just not there. I have no good self control with that crunch, so I just don't do it. But I will use it and crush them up for recipes. So, like when we cook like crappie or bluegill or any of the fish that we get, I always bread them in pork rinds with a little bit of paprika and Redmond salt, and that's what I use. I don't do an egg wash even. You could do egg yolk if you wanted, or probably the whole egg, um, but I don't. I just roll it in that and I throw it down in tallow that is extremely hot, and then cook it that way, or butter. But I really like it in tallow, but it's really good that way. So let's see. Jill King. Hi, Laura. Sorry, I just arrived. I have 2% iodine. What is the max level you are recommending for optimum benefit? I will tell you what I have done. So, like I was telling Grace, I started with 5% one time, and it was too much. It was too much too quick for me. And I had full handfuls of hair come out. Then, this is what was funny. At maybe 2 weeks after that, because it was right before deer season last year, I was starting to eat. I was taking those capsules. Gosh, I wish I could remember something ancestral liver capsules. Anyway, every single day. And my hair was just starting to like come back in pretty good, especially up front. And same thing, handfuls. And I was like, damn. So I was like, well, that's not vitamin A toxicity this time, because I'm not doing too much iodine. I'm not doing this. So that's when I had to sit back and go, okay. So I put it up on the shelf in the kitchen. I bought 2%. I started with 2 drops every day. I did that for a while, and then about a week, and then I went up to 3 drops. Did that for a week. Did I notice any bad effects? That's what I was paying attention to. Did I notice anything? Um, I felt better. Went to 4 drops for a week, 5 drops. Just kept going until I'm up to 10 drops. And I just finished that bottle. So I am going to go back to the 5%. Um, and I'm going to do the 4 drops because that's what I'm taking anyway. So that is what I'm going to do for now. But yeah, I think starting out slow and paying attention, and even if it's 2 weeks of you deciding, is this making me feel better? Do I have better energy? Because that's probably what I noticed was it just if you've ever lacked anything and you take it and you're like, "Oh, yeah." Like, if you've ever been anemic and you got really good vitamin B in and you're like, "Oh my god, here's all this energy. I feel so much better." That's kind of how I feel when I got the iodine up to a good level for myself. So that is kind of what I do. So hopefully that helps. Um, Karen says she is up to 5 drops of 2% and feeling better. Yep, I'm glad. And I'm glad you increased it slowly. You're welcome, Jill King. Yes. Yes. Yes, that is the benefit that I got. Jill King was asking if this helps to slow hair loss. It does. Now, another thing that I did because I really, really love my hair, I took biotin for a while. I also did the collagen, and it's all grass-fed beef collagen. I think I think it's out on my website. Like I have my products or my Amazon things or whatever. I think it's out there. I don't remember the name of it. I barely once in a while will throw it in there, but I did notice taking the iodine, my nails got stronger. I mean, crazy things that I wasn't even expecting. Um, the other thing is it really regulated my TSH, my free T3 and free T4 all normalized, and my T3 had been low. So that definitely was an improvement for myself. So yeah. Okay, let's see what else. So it also says like when you're going out to these social things that if you normally eat once a day, being around some of that food, especially in the beginning when you first do this, it takes a while for you to get your feet underneath of you and not be called to those bad foods, because they're sitting over there staring at you, um, is to stay full. So you could eat twice and make one meal like right before you go. If you're going to be like, I'm not going to eat anything that's there. I definitely don't want to eat the bad stuff. Now, there are some people, I think Charlie had said that he is going to Disney World and he's going to try to do the best he can carnivore wise, but he wants to make it such a good experience for his wife and his daughter that he doesn't want it to all be about like, oh, I can't do this because of this. So, if he goes off a little bit, I think, he's been doing this for a while. I think he can get right back on there very quickly. So if that would happen, um, and I don't know, not everybody gets bad side effects when they do eat the other stuff. I cannot eat barbecue sauce. I cannot eat my salsa, which I did eat some a couple weeks ago because I was kind of sinusy and had done all of my things. I did my oregano oil, I did my elderberry tincture, I did everything, and then decided to do that as well. The only thing I didn't do was I didn't do my fermented honey garlic. I didn't think it was to that level that I needed it. Now, if I get strep, honey garlic, let me show it to you. Um, that is something I will absolutely take. And I don't care if they say, oh, it's not carnivore. I don't really care. I use this stuff as a medicine. I'm not eating it all the time. So that is a jar that is from 1 of 23. So, and it's not like super thick, but it's not super runny either. I have an older one than that in here. And that one has almost gotten to the point where it kind of looks like black axle grease. But it tastes okay. I mean, with the honey in there, it's not too bad. So I have done that in the past when I had strep. So like during 2021 with the mask wearing for several hours every single day as a nurse, I kept getting strep because I am a strep carrier. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So Karen says, I'm hoping that it normalizes my thyroid levels too. You go in a couple of weeks to get lab work. Great. And Karen, I don't know about your doctor or if you're doing this through that, own my own labs. But free T3, free T4, and the TSH are the ones that I would do. I've also done reverse T3, reverse T4. Um, but I'm not sure if you're working with the doctor, if they're going to order that, or if you would go out on own your own labs. I just know for sure that with own your own labs, you have to make sure that where you're going to get your labs drawn can use their orders, because their orders do not have diagnosis codes with them. Where like a doctor's office would be like low vitamin D, hydroxy 25 vitamin D, would be the name of the test. So you'd have a diagnosis to go with it. Some of the labs in the area will not take them. And I'm really glad I called ahead of time, because I had, like, in my cart, I had a ton of stuff on there, and I called the lab out where I work, and I said, does there have to be a diagnosis code for you to send it to this lab? And which is the lab that picks up all of our labs. And they were like, oh yeah. And I was like, dang it. And they said sometimes, like, the hospitals always do, but some of the standalone, like some of the bigger cities have these places that are just lab draws. Sometimes those are pretty good about that, and some other places are pretty okay with it. And it could just be I live in Illinois, I don't know. Like, we have regulations out the wazoo, so could be. Um, so over the things that I've went over so far this evening, because I'm going to get off of here, I'm going to try to keep it short. Um, is that I think the carnivore diet is ever evolving. I think it's always good to be in a space where you have people who maybe help you to be accountable for what you want and your goals, but not carnivore, ketovore police. Um, because there is always some variations that some people can do. I eat lion, very strict lion, doesn't mean all of you have to eat lion. If you guys can eat chicken thighs, and pork rinds by the pounds, I say good for you. Great. I wish I could. It's just not something I can do. My issue is histamine is what happens with me. I have a histamine reaction, and my mast cells are not super high, but they're up there pretty good. So that's something that I'm working on. I'm taking a supplement called DAO because I do not produce that, and so that can help with that. So I'm hoping after about 6 months, I'm going to try to integrate some of these things back in, and we'll see if I can do any of them. I hope so. Karen says, yes, I have been hypothyroid in past, so know which labs to request. Great. This time I requested the reverse T3 and reverse T3 and T4, I think. Oh, and the T3 was just a bit low. Yep. And that's pretty common. I see that. That's how mine was too. Darth says, love the fact that we can create community without the N equals, with own, yeah, with our own N equals one. Yeah, I agree. I try to give advice that I can say that I've done either with myself, my clients, or my patients. I'm going to tell a really quick story and then I'm going to go. I have a patient right now who had cardiogenic shock. He was septic and it caused his heart to stop. And so now he's wearing what they call a life vest, which looks like a reverse bra that has the electrodes that if his heart stops, it's going to pop him. It's going to snap and it's going to send, electricity through his heart and hopefully restart his heart. And so when the first time I went to see him, I always scan the kitchen. I'm not being judgy. Don't think that I'm not. I'm just like, what's in the environment? What are we putting in our body? And so he had quit cigarettes, quit alcohol, quit chasing women, he said. His wife giggled. But anyway, I just was like, can you cut down on some of these things? And I went over the reasons why, and I gave him my card. And I said, if you want to watch some of my videos, some of the interviews, Dr. Baker, all of those types of things. And I thought, yeah, they probably won't. And I think he's maybe 76, not too bad. But I think he has been, he looks good. His blood pressure looks good. Um, yeah, I think he's improving quite a bit. So that makes me happy whenever you can go out there and help somebody else um, get to their optimum, you know. And I used the Dr. Barry thing with him. He goes, "You think it's too late for me?" And I said, "No." I said, "According to Dr. Barry, if you can fog a mirror," I said, "it's never too late." And he was like, "Fog a mirror. I like that one. I think I could do that." So, um, yeah, that always makes me happy when you, and there are times where you get patients where they're not going to get better, and you know that. But boy, I sure do strive to be like, but whatever time you have left, let's make it good time instead of sickly time. Because we all have an expiration date. I want mine to be as long as possible and as comfortable getting to that point as I can be. So I think that I'm going to end tonight's video with that. So if anybody else is doing videos out there, we will be good. Next week I'm going to go over some vitamins. I had a person reach out and says that her family says meat has no vitamins or minerals. So next week, I'm going to go over those um, and give them exactly what is in the meats. And then the week after that, which will be after Thanksgiving, the following week, um, I'm going to go over some of the different supplements that are recommended by a lot of the doctors that are in our carnivore space. Um, the ones that I have used, and I'm going to kind of give you the reviews of what I've used, what I felt like worked, and what I continue to use. Some things I've gotten rid of. I mean, I didn't get rid of them because I save everything that is medical at all and put it in my little prep box, but that I'm not personally taking right now. Um, so that'll be in 2 weeks. So I'm going to do that. If there's ever anything that you have questions about that you think would be a good topic for me to go over, just leave it in the comments and I will absolutely try to make sure I'm educated on what that is. Hopefully I know it, but if I don't, I'll go out and make sure that I get the good information and that I get it out there for you guys. So I do appreciate you guys. If you did like this, if there's somebody you think could benefit from any of the information, please share this out with them. And of course, I think you guys are probably all subscribed, but I would appreciate it if you would subscribe if you're not. And it's funny, I watch these people called Doug and Stacy from Missouri. They're homesteaders. Yeah, I think it's called Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. I have subscribed to their channels, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 times, and it keeps going away. Of course, they say some controversial stuff and, the censorship that happens. So I'm sure that's why that happens to them. But anyway, I would appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful evening. I'm going to go play with the new outdoor kitty cat that my husband named. So I guess it's our outdoor kitty cat now. So you guys are very welcome. Thank you. And I will see you guys next week. And as I always say, meet, heat, eat, and repeat.